Sony has been facing some pretty big problems when it's come to Bungie. Marathon has now been delayed and faced major backlash. Destiny 2 is at its end. And now we're finding out that they're taking a 204 million hit as it falls short of expectations. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, when Sony bought Bungie for nearly $4 billion back in 2022, I think all of us expected them to really start pumping out content, doing remakes, reboots, remasters, trying to make a Destiny 3 and a Destiny 4, and we all kind of expected them to start making a lot of content very quickly to try to make that money back, but they didn't. They really only banked on Destiny 2, and of course, Marathon was supposed to be a large game for them, but they went in a completely different direction than the previous Marathon games, and to top that off, they had the art scandal and a lot of criticisms regarding the alpha that they did, and that game has just been a nightmare for them. I think it's going to come out and flop. I do not think that that is going to come out and be a solid game for them. You have to also pair that with the fact that it is not a free-to-play multiplayer experience. It is a initial pay-to-play model. And I don't think that that is necessarily the biggest problem. Look at something like Arc Raiders. You have to pay to play. But when people already have so many major criticisms levied towards Marathon, that is an issue. And now we're finding out that Sony has confirmed that Destiny 2 is dying. They're losing money. This hasn't gone as well as they expected. It says Sony has confirmed that Destiny 2 has fallen short of expectations, forcing the company to record an estimated $204 million impairment related to Bungie's assets. During its Q2 FY 2025 earnings call, Sony acknowledged that the popular shooter's player engagement and revenue have been weaker than anticipated since the 2022 acquisition of Bungie for $3.6 billion. Yeah, and this is just what's going to happen when you have a game and you release update after update after update after update for several years in a row. Eventually, people are going to hit a point where they say, I really don't want to play this game anymore. Very few games will stay around for a decade plus, and that's just the fact of the matter. Yes, there are some MMOs out there that have done a wonderful and successful, like Black Desert Online has done really good, World of Warcraft has done really good, but when it comes to live service games and titles like Destiny 2, yeah, I mean, sure, if DLC comes out, maybe some people will return, but generally, as time goes on, the player base is going to wane, interest in it's going to wane, and at this point, if you haven't already started playing Destiny 2, you're probably not going to want to get into it because there's so much content. I know that's a big barrier to entry for people looking at World of Warcraft as well. Regarding Destiny 2, partially due to changes in the competitive environment, the level of sales and user engagement has not reached the expectations we had at the time of the acquisition of Bungie. The CFO explained, they noted that Sony has downwardly revised the business projection for the time being and recorded an impairment loss against a portion of the assets at Bungie. The 31.5 billion yen, approximately $204 million impairment, combined with the additional 18.3 billion, or about 118 million expense tied to development cost corrections. They said that these adjustments were necessary to reflect the game's current performance, which has been affected by lower player activity and market competition. And sure, I do think that market competition is part of the reason, but another part of the reason is just that people don't want to keep playing the same game. But also take a look at how many games actually launch every single year. In 2024, nearly 18,000 titles launched, and it's estimated to go up by another 1,000 this year to 19,000 per year. That is a wild amount of games, a lot of content, and this is why games come and games go extremely quickly now. And that's just something that these companies are going to have to realize. When asked whether this impairment could be at the start of further write-downs, they clarified that the goodwill from the Bungie acquisition remains secure. And when it comes to Bungie, right, Sony is claiming that they are still fully dedicated to releasing Marathon by March, but it's very clear that they are struggling right now. Will they maybe even consider selling off Bungie in the future and handing it off to somebody else, trying to make some of that money back? Who knows? But whenever you hear the name Bungie now, it's a major red flag. I don't trust them. Following a plagiarism scandal and an indefinite delay earlier this year, Bungie's corporate overlord Sony have reiterated again that the extraction shooter Marathon is still aiming to release by March next year. Meanwhile, Destiny 2's struggle has seen the parent corp flatly admit that the game's not doing as well as Sony imagined when they bought Bungie. I wonder if by March, Arc Raiders hype will have died down a bit and people that maybe tried that will end up trying Marathon. I think that it was probably extremely smart that they indefinitely delayed Marathon because it would not have stood a chance against Arc Raiders. Remember, they were initially supposed to release only several weeks apart, though at this point, judging by the hype behind Arc Raiders and how much people are enjoying it, I don't necessarily know if by March the hype will have died down. They better hope that's the case, but people are really obsessed with this title right now. If you don't know much about the plagiarism controversy, I have made several videos on it. I've covered it pretty extensively on the channel. Some of those will be linked down below, but an artist accused Bungie of plagiarizing her designs and using them in the upcoming first-person shooter Marathon. The artist, who creates futuristic posters under the name Anti-Real, posted images of her own work alongside screenshots from Marathon's recent alpha playtest, and Bungie came out and basically said it was a rogue employee and they had no idea and they were going to work to remove these images. And we don't know exactly how much the aesthetic is going to have to be changed now because of that situation, but it was clearly a reason why the game was delayed. I also think, again, a big part of that was the competition, though the plagiarism controversy really damaged the reputation and image of this title because so many people were saying, no, if they tried to get away with this, I don't want to support them because I don't even want to know what else isn't unique and original in this title. And when you really start looking at all the details, you can tell that it clearly was a plagiarism situation. It's not like, well, it's an image that's similar to a lot of other images, and maybe they were both inspired by the same source. No, there were literally icons and logos that were exactly the same, so it wasn't deniable by Bungie. So, yeah, I mean, they've been facing a hell of a lot of problems with Marathon, and now, of course, with Destiny 2, and Sony is taking a $204 million hit. They are one of the largest companies within the video game industry, so does this, like, severely damage them? Not necessarily, but when you pay $4 billion nearly for something, you want to make that money back. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.